Okay, so hey everyone, this is Manish and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel, The Inside Zone. And today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Rajat Verma, who cracked CAT 2023 and got admission into IIM Ahmedabad. And the most interesting thing is before he was working as a senior software engineer at Capgemini. Okay, so hello Rajat sir,
Hi, Manish.
how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I've been fine. I'm like preparing for going to the college. It's the last week before going to college, so there's a lot of things going on. The schedule is very hectic right now. There were many courses given to us which we have to complete, and my procrastination self has made me delay till now. So I'm planning to start it tomorrow, and I'll be having roughly 3 days to cover it. So I'm fine, but I'm not like relaxed.
Okay, so have you started your college?
No, the college hasn't started. Actually, Ahmedabad's classes will start from 23rd. The candidates have to report from 17th, but the non-engineering candidates, they have reported in the campus from 3rd of June. They're having some preparatory classes in mathematics, statistics, and all that, which they never had those subjects in their graduation or plus two. So now they are preparing for it. Engineers will reach the campus from 17th onwards.
Okay, great. I think we should first move on with your introduction.
Okay. So my name is Rajat Verma, as you told everyone. I come from the city of Lucknow, the city of Nawabs, Kebabs, and Adab, as I like to say it. And I've done my engineering from NIT Hamirpur. I graduated in 2020, the infamous COVID batch. So and I have done my engineering in civil engineering, which I was talking with Manish before this. Also, he asked me why I was working as a senior software engineer after my background being in civil engineering. So that's because I had my interest, and those companies actually look more for your interest and your skills than your academic backgrounds. That happens everywhere in Indian space. You must be knowing more about it than me. So that's how thing is. So I had my interest, I had my skills, so I was working over there. Lately, I also shifted. My past 2 years have been in a construction firm where I've been working as a construction manager. My work is to plan real estate projects, get them built, workforce management, and then meeting the deadlines. All those things that you imagine a civil engineer to be. So that's what I was working from the past 2 years. I was also preparing for UPSC in some of my free time, and also a little bit for CAT. That's how I gave CAT this year, and now I've got
Okay,
this prestige of getting interviewed by you.
amazing. Amazing. Okay, so my first question is how was your life as a software engineer?
Life as a software engineer, there are two lives which every software engineer is living in India currently. One is the of the people who are going to offices. The other is of people who are working from home. Those two lives are on just the opposite side of coins of each other. Mine was on the work from home side, so it was a very balanced life. I used to live at you live at home. You don't need to care about a lot of things. Your clothes gets washed, your food gets prepared. You live with the parents, so there's a little of that stress factor. There's nothing much of that, but you miss the parties, you miss hanging out with friends. So that's a compromise which people have to make. Uh, Talking about the work side, for me, it was a very, very enriching experience. For the initial 2 months, we were trained in data science. My field was data science. I was an SSC in data science. So we were trained in various techniques and various technologies of data science like Python, R, Tableau, Power BI, and all that. So it was a good experience for me. I learned a lot of things which I would have never if I hadn't joined that organization. And I still remember a lot of it. A lot of it was asked during my interviews at times also, and I was able to answer well. So that's something which I'll carry with me for all of my life, I think.
Okay, great. And uh, why did you shifted from that part of your journey to prepare for CAT and cracking it?
Um, CAT was never a part of my journey. I never planned it. CAT was never planned. Even after I graduated from my undergraduate college, I never thought of going for CAT and everything. But eventually, as things turned out, while I was working in my last company, where I was working as a construction manager, there were a lot of things which I used to see which were happening, like workforce related to workforce and everything. I used to see a lot of resources which were kept unused and like that. So I knew that if I I had some insights I had some solutions for them also. But being at a position in my company where I was working for the past 1 year only, I couldn't get them implemented. So I knew I have some ideas without having a degree in management. So I knew if I have proper skills in this field, I can do something better. I can, because this field actually interested me more than the field of data science, like managing people, managing a project, managing a site and all that. These things intrigued me more. They made me feel more fulfilled at the end of the day. So it was like decided for me after some time that if I get a degree in management, that will work wonders for me.
Okay, amazing. So, like, my question will be like, if you were not preparing for CAT, so how did you come up with like cracking CAT so easily and getting selected in IIM Ahmedabad?
Um, this is a question many people ask me, so I'm going to answer it honestly over here for the sake of your audience. I was actually preparing for UPSC. I started my preparation 2022 around November, and I gave my first attempt in May of 2023, around 6 or 7 months later. And being an engineer, I was overtly confident that the CSAT paper, which comes in prelims, will be like the most easiest paper for me to crack. Like, how can an engineer coming from an IT get could not get till the cutoff? So I was having that thinking.
Mindset.
But he came, I gave the exam, and I realized I passed the CSAT paper, but I passed just like I was on the boundary. So I realized that I need to prepare for it also, because it may happen the next year that I clear prelims paper one, but I may get stuck in CSAT, and that will be like very regretful for me later. Being an engineer, it will be like a blob in my profile. So I started preparing for CSAT, and I filled CAT form mostly for practice purposes. Like, I'll give CAT, because if I'll fill CAT, then I'll prepare for CAT before November, and that was my target for CSAT. So I applied for CAT. I prepared for CAT, or you can call CSAT, for about 1 month or 1.5 months. It was mostly based. It was my own regime based on mocks. I used to attempt mocks. I used to analyze them. I used to mark what topics I'm confident in, what topics I have forgotten, but which I knew 4 or 5 years back. And then they came the topics which I was not familiar with. So I set a target for me, like in each section, how much questions I need to attempt, how many questions I need right, and how much am I lagging. Then I used to prepare those topics and then attempt mock again. Initially, it was one mock per week. Late after 10 or 15 days, it came to like one mock every 2 days or one mock every 3 days. In the end, it was like a mock every day. So I used to analyze my performance like that.
Okay, great. So, like, how did you find like that you were preparing for CSAT and like after that you were jumping into CAT? So, what was the similarities you have found like there?
In the syllabus,
Yeah.
um, the syllabus is almost the same. May it be any of the aptitude papers, you have three sections. One third of the questions are based on your logical reasoning and data interpretation. One third is on English. One third on maths, or what we call quants. So the syllabus was similar. CAT obviously is a bit tougher than CSAT, and this year 2023 was actually far much tougher than what came last year's. So the syllabus was like, if for an engineer I'm speaking, if an engineer sees the CAT paper, for him or her, the paper is not that much difficult. What counts is that you need to attempt that many number of questions correctly in that much given time. So that comes by practice, I believe, either by practice or if you have been persistent in practicing those subjects over the years. But most of the engineers like stop practicing all those subjects. Like, who practices some profit and loss or percentages or trigonometry after class 12? Nobody does that. So it all comes down to practice for engineers, I believe. If a person times his mock attempts, does enough practice, practice gives you confidence, and that confidence helps you during the exam. If you like, when you go to give an exam, you have a number in your mind that no matter how hard the paper comes, this will be the least score I'll be able to score, because you have given a lot of number of mocks. So I believe that helps a person gain confidence and perform well in an exam situation where the stress is very, very high.
Okay, great. So, like, did UPSC preparation help you in that, like, preparing for CAT?
UPSC preparation didn't help me in the preparation of CAT, but UPSC preparation is the only reason I was able to crack my interviews. That is the answer I would like to give you. all of the things that I learned during my UPSC preparation, may it be geopolitics, may it be finance, related to finance, or the policies of Indian governments over the years, your current affairs, everything, all the things that I've learned in that time is actually the only preparation I did for my GDPI. I never went for any specific course or anything. That much knowledge was more than I needed anywhere. I gave around 16 to 17 interviews and I cracked all of them. So I have like 100% record. And I still to the day believe, and I will believe it always, that my UPSC preparation is the only reason I was able to crack these interviews. I had something to speak about any topic that was asked for me because I have learned about all those topics. I've read about them. I've read about them from different sources. I've read about them from different people, different opinions. So that helps a lot during interviews. You have a confidence that you know about something. If you, even if you're not able to recall, you know a lot of things around that. So you're able to form a conversation. During interviews, what matters is the conversation. The conversation should not die. Like when you go for an interview, there are many people who go in and come out in 10 or 15 minutes. You automatically know that the interview was not that good. Then there comes a person who goes in for the interview and he comes out after 50 minutes. If a panel that's been interviewing for the past 1 month every day about 10 to 20 candidates and is still giving one candidate 50 minutes, then it's obvious that they had something to talk about, and that's a lasting impression. So keeping the conversation alive during your interviews, I think, is the most important thing.
Okay, like we were talking before podcast, that you have changed my thinking, that like before this, I was like, if you are preparing for CAT and able to crack CAT, so it will be easy to crack UPSC. But like now you have changed my thinking, that you are preparing for UPSC and like you have cracked CAT like in a very easy way. So amazing. Okay, so yeah, do you want to say something? Oh wait.
Yeah, what you said, I want to add something to it. If you're preparing for CAT, if you prepare for CAT and crack it will help you in your UPSC journey in not the sense of subjects or the sense of your course. Like when you crack a certain exam, it gives you a a sense of self confidence. That's a very important thing. Secondly, if you have a tag of IIM with you, then walking into any interview panel of like UPSC or a state civil services or any other examination or selection panel, when they see the tag of an IIM on your, or any good B school for that matter, on your CV, then your candidature becomes very, very solid because they know that you have already proven your mettle. You have proven your capabilities. That's why you got there. So you already climb up a lot above all the other candidates who may be at a similar level to you. So that's how cracking CAT or getting into a good B school helps you if someone wants to change their career to the government sector. And confidence, of course, because when you work in corporate sector, you go to an IIM, your conversation skills increase drastically. You have a lot to talk about everything. You know how to interact with people. You know how to identify what and how people are feeling about what you're talking. So all those skills that you learn here help you over there.
Yeah, and that was the thing I was like thinking before that. Okay, great. Because like when you are in IIM, so you have achieved and gained some skills which are like which increases your chance like when you are sitting in an exam, so you will be preferred. Okay, great. So like should we talk about your like UPSC preparation? What kind of preparation you were doing, and like from where you were taking coaching and all?
My coaching was like I joined a distance classroom type of program, but I didn't give much. I wasn't able to give much time to it owing to my job. My job where I worked in Lucknow, it was a very dynamic job. Like sometimes I need to go at 2 p.m., sometimes I need to go at 2 a.m. So I never had a proper schedule for it. So things were up and down, but my preparation was mostly based on study material. I had my study material. I used to look at past papers, the past trends. For my optional, I joined a class and I did it like properly. It was my optional was geography actually, because being civil engineer, geography comes the closest to engineering as it can without taking engineering as an optional, which is a disaster if you ask me. So I took geography and I got a very good mentor. People must have heard about him, Mr. Alok Ranjan. He's a very famous faculty in Delhi. So his classes, his insights helped me a lot in that subject, and that also helped me shape and understand how other subjects are to be approached. So I used to look at the approach. I also had my friends. Many of my friends were also preparing for UPSC. So I used to have conversations with them. I used to know about how to approach and how to learn and all that, and what things are going on importantly. And because of my distance learning program, I had access to current affairs and everything. So I used to revise them whenever I got free time. Um, UPSC, I believe, is something which one should attempt only if it's their dream. Like UPSC, clearing UPSC cannot be a shared dream. It's not. It cannot be like your father's dream is for you to be an UPSC guy, so you go into you jump into UPSC. That's not how a person cracks it. Till the day it is not your dream to crack UPSC, because you need to have a lot of interest in those subjects, in that preparation. You need to be resilient, and all those things come only if that's your dream. So that's very important for UPSC, and that's that how it was for me also. Because when I started preparation, I was like very serious. I'll get into this because I was working in my current job. I was happy with it, but I was not contented with it. It wasn't where I used to see myself ending up while I was growing. So I knew I had to do something more. That's why I was preparing for UPSC and all.
Okay, so should we shed a light upon like a day of a UPSC aspirants, and like how it makes different for you because you are from engineering background and like you were living a professional life, and like when we see like life of a simple student, simple aspirants who is like preparing in Delhi and anywhere in India, so like what difference you see in their life and in yours life?
See, the people who are preparing in Delhi, they have a who are preparing seriously, have a very dedicated schedule plan for themselves. Like I think currently the exam is on 16th of June, so you call up any UPSC aspirant, and none will pick up your phone for the next 6 days, because the 24 hours minus the 4 hours of sleep, everything is dedicated to preparation. UPSC preparation is not difficult because the subjects are difficult. It's difficult because the subjects and the course is very vast, and you need to remember and connect a lot of things. So people need to give a lot of time. So a day of an UPSC aspirants usually starts in the morning, where they go to their classes. If they have a morning class, if they don't have a morning class, they have an afternoon class. Then the morning, the first thing they do is go through the newspapers. The newspapers were the current news, and they make notes of it daily. Daily, you need to make notes of current affairs. That's very important. Many people skip it, but I believe that's something which one needs to do. You need to jot down those 5 or 10 news articles on happenings that happened that day, and you need to maintain proper notes. That's how the day starts. Later on, for a guy living in Delhi, it moves on to going to the coaching. First, revising whatever was taught yesterday for today's class. Then you know what is going to be taught in today's class, so you read a little about it. Then you go to your classes. Classes are for UPSC are mostly 2 and 2.5 hours. They're not like your engineering sources, which are like 8 hours classes, because in engineering sources, they teach you everything in the class. In UPSC, they only guide you. Like they pick up a topic and they tell you what is important from this topic, what to learn, what to not, what are the important things. And then all the study you have to do when you reach back to your room. When you reach back after the coaching to your room, then you pick up the books, you pick up all the sources, and you start preparing your notes. Everyone then gives 3 to 4 hours in preparing the notes for those topic, rigorous notes, proper notes. Preparing your own notes is very important. So that's how the rest of the time goes. Then they take usually 1 or 2 hours break in the evening or so, like that. Then after that, they move on to their static practices. Like whatever's going on today is going on today, but there's a lot that has been added up in the past, and there's a lot that will never be taught in the coaching. So all those subjects need to be finished on daily basis. So that's how the rest of the day goes. And whenever there are exams in between or something else comes up, so that time goes to it for obvious reasons. And now when you compare it to my schedule, it was like 8 to 10 hours of eight, not 10, but on an average 8 hours of job combined with my UP. I used to prepare 2 hours in the morning. Then I used to, like, if I'm not having a morning call, then I used to go to work. I used to come in the afternoon and all those things. I had my friends also, so I was not able to give much time in the afternoon and all of that. But in the evening, I used to diligently give like 4 hours or 5 hours, some before dinner and rest of it after dinner to my preparation.
Okay, and like, do you think like engineering has made like your life easy in order to prepare for UPSC?
People say that it's easy for engineers to crack UPSC because uh, they have been well versed in preparing a lot of subjects. They approach the subjects subjectively instead of approaching them objectively and all that. But if you ask a real engineer, engineering actually spoils you. I till day believe how much knowledge I had before my engineering in 2016 and the knowledge that I had after passing from college in 2020, there was actually a drop down. I used to know more things. I was more diligent. I was like more punctual in my things. Engineering made me a lazy person because everyone just enjoys their life in engineering and they study 1 or 2 days before the exam. That's not how things are going to work in UPSC. In UPSC, you need to prepare a schedule. You need to stick to your schedule daily. You need to give in those hours. Without giving those speculated hours, UPSC cannot be cracked. It's a joke if anyone says that hours don't matter in UPSC. In UPSC, hours matter because the course subjects are vast, very vast. And you just not need to learn new things, you need to revise the old things. And the old things keep on adding day to day, on a day to day basis. So a lot of things get built up and you need to revise them also. So um, for engineers, the transition is very difficult from engineering life to the life of a person who's preparing for UPSC. But over the time, engineers perform well because they have that skill of performing well under pressure. I think that's how it helps them.
Okay, so like, have you thought like you will give UPSC after like completing your MBA?
There are no plans as of now because I don't even know where my life will be after 2 or 4 years. What I know is that after completing my MBA, I need to give in solid 2 to 3 years to my work. I need to go and get a proper work experience. I need to learn things because without that, an MBA degree doesn't matter much. MBA degree is like it gives you into the corporate sector, but how you perform there decides your later career path. So it's not that like I'll get an IIM degree and then I'll not join any company. I'll start preparing for UPSC. Now after 5 years, if I decide okay, I need to go back to corporate, and corporate will be like, okay, you're from IIM Ahmedabad, come. Well, here are open arms. Come. That's not how it's gonna work. You're worthless for them. So that's for sure that after 2 years of my MBA, I need to work for another 2 or 3 years, and that will be a very rigorous work schedule if I get into my fields of interest. So, but after that, if I get a chance, because my plan is to like move back to Lucknow 10 years or 12 years down the line. When my parents get old, I want to live with them. I want to take care of them. So if at that time I get any opportunity in government sector, which will be in state civil services, of course, because for central civil services, your age limit is like 32 years. So,
Yep.
but in UP, state civil services have a good age limit. It's like 42, 45 years. So if I am able to crack something, then I'll assess that what I'm having now and what I'm getting, then what's better for me. Maybe moving back to Lucknow will be a better option for me, given the circumstances at that point. So I'll definitely switch.
Okay, great. So like, should we move on? Like, uh, I think it's worthless to like talk. How did you prepare for CAT? Because you already told that. So, like,
I can see. I didn't prepare like how normally people prepare for CAT, but for a specific set of students, I can. I don't think I'm qualified to give that advice. But if they want to hear from me, then I can advise them. The people who are engineers, specifically engineers, um, I can tell you if you have been good at maths and English during your school, if you are from ICSE or CPSE or some board, then your English must have been good. And if you are good at CATs, then your maths must also be good. So whatever topics you see in CAT, if you take up a quant paper of last year or a year before that, you'll see about 90% of the questions are those questions that you would have easily solved 4 or 5 years back, but now you're not able to because you have forgotten the things. So instead of joining any coaching or taking up a proper course, which actually eats up a lot of your time. If you join a course on an academy, for example, today, and they start teaching you the verbal ability section, they start from adjectives, adverbs, conjunctions, nouns, pronouns. That's wasted time, wasted effort, because that's not something you need to study again. That's something that you know, that resides in yourself. So start your preparation with mocks, assess your performance, see where you're lagging. Not just one mock, give 2, 3 mocks so you get an average score, and you get to realize what topics need good practice, what topics need a revision, what topics you can do if you give proper time, and what topics you need to skip. Because if there are 24 questions in quants, you do not need to attempt 24 questions to get 100 percentile. A person who attempts, I say 15 questions and get them right, that's 45 marks. 45 marks in one section easily takes you 99.9 and above. So you need to focus, you need to decide your target, you need to work for that. There are many sections that you can leave that if you decide. So plan everything accordingly. Do not waste your time. Your effort should be, for engineers, I would like to say, you must have heard that there's a force and then there's a direction and there comes an angle which is theta. So if there's a force, that's a direction, it becomes F cos theta. So as the angle increases, the force decreases. So your force should be in the direction which is required, so that the theta is 0 and your force is maximum. So you align your preparation in the direction that is needed. Do not try to learn and do everything.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so Rajat sir, till now, like we have talked, like how did you prepare for CAT and UPSC and all. Like now, cracking CAT is one part, and like after that, it when we comes in interview, so it is another part, and like it is compulsory to like crack interviews. So like, could you shed a light upon like interviews? How did you prepare?
My interview preparation, the content which was required for me, I was a WorkX candidate. Like if a candidate goes there without WorkX, most of his interviews based upon his academics. The questions which the panel asks are based on the academics. If you are from economics background, most of our questions are going to be from economics background. Then there comes HR questions and all those questions like why you want to join MBA, what will you bring to the table, and all those questions. They are common for everyone. But for a WorkX candidates, those academic questions get shifted more to your about your job. Like what have you done in your job? What were responsibilities? What things you learned in a job that will bring to MBA? What changes you could have brought? And the questions like that, like they want to analyze how much you have learned at a job, how much you have contributed, and how much are you willing to contribute further in the future. So that's how the interview of a WorkX candidate is different from a candidate who is a fresher. So I was a WorkX candidate. My WorkX was around 36 months. So, and there were two organizations. So I had a lot to talk about them. Most of my interviews started with WorkX only. Like when you go to an interview, first they ask you about your introduction. Then they come to your WorkX, straight to your WorkX, because that's how your CVs are. Like there's a name details, then comes your WorkX, then comes your ACATS. So they start asking about your WorkX, like what were you working on? What technologies were you working on? I believe that in interviews, a lot of it depends on luck also. What panel you get. Maybe you have done your work experience in the field of data science, and one of the people who are sitting in the panel is actually a person who has also worked in data science or has a degree in data science. You never know. So that may be a point where he'll start asking a lot of questions like what technologies were you working in and the specifics of it, like what algorithm was you believe is the best for transitioning in and out and everything. So the interview gets a little technical if a person in the panel knows something about your background. If the panel is like generalistic or they do not know anything about it, then the questions are mostly based on what you learned at the job, what was one challenge you faced at the job. So that's how the questions are framed then. But throughout B schools, one thing is common in all the interviews, which any candidate coming from any background should learn, and that's the business and finance side, not only of India but of the world. Whenever you go to an interview, you should know you should have some basic numbers in your mind, like the GDP, the GNP, the PMI. If there was any new report published lately by IMF or UN, you must know about it. You must have read it. If a budget has been released, because most of the interviews happen in February to April. So the budget gets released that time. So a lot of questions are based on the annual budget. Like what was the budget? How is it good or is it bad? And all those things. If there's any major geopolitical issue going on, because that hampers business directly. Like in our time, there was a Russia-Ukraine war and there was this Israel-Palestine war going on. So a lot of questions were based on that also. Like what's happening? What was the background? How it escalated so much? How do you think will it affect everything in the future? And the questions based on that. So a lot of questions are based on that also, and that's how you need to prepare for it. Made any background you're coming from, even if you're a doctor, you need to know your basics in this sector. You need to know about finance, you need to know about business, what are the major developments going on, geopolitical politics. There were 2 or 3 interviews in which they straightforwardly asked me, like, are you a BJP supporter or an India supporter? And sometimes you feel like that's not a question which should be asked. And even if it is asked, you should remain neutral. But that's not the right way. They want you to answer it. They want to know, and whenever you answer or you pick up a side, then they ask questions on that, like why this side, what are the things that they are promising, what are the things they have done. As I was telling before also, it's more based on conversation. They are not selecting a candidate based on his technical knowledge, because they're not taking you in for MTech or MS. They do not need to know that you know everything about engineering or you know anything about our economics or commerce or everything. They are taking a person who will be a future manager. So you must know how to talk, how to know, if you don't know about something, then how to take up the conversation, how to switch it. So they are more interested in those side of things. So at many times you won't be knowing a lot of things. You won't be knowing like the answer to something specific. So how you change that question to your favor, how you convince them that you actually knew it, but you're not able to recall. So that was called. I just so this is how things are. They are more interested in selecting a future manager. They do not care much about your academics. Obviously, they care because a person who has been academically diligent in the past is more likely to be academically diligent at an IIM, and that's what they want their faculties. Like, what the first thing they want to hear is that you are joining an MBA to learn. You never say that you want to do an MBA because you want a good package. That's not a question. That's the first objective for many people, but that's not the answer you should give. You should always say that you want to learn, you want to upskill yourself. So an interview preparation is something that you need to do. Like, you need to prepare for it explicitly. If you look at the composite scores, you must be knowing about composite scores. Whenever the CAT score comes, every institute prepares a composite score, which is based on your CAT score and your ACADS, work ex and diversity, everything. That's how you land at a score, and that's how calls are given out. Then after you give an interview, that composite score is calculated again. And then another factor comes in, which is your interview score. For IIM Ahmedabad, out of 100, 50 marks are for your interviews, 10 marks are for your written ability test. Only 40 marks, those 40 marks include your CAT, 10th, 12th, work-ex, diversity, and everything. So you must understand that your interview round carry a very big weightage. If the panel likes you, they'll give you marks so that your academics are compensated. If the panel doesn't like you, even if you have 40 upon 40 in the rest of the cases, so they'll give you such marks that you will fail. So you need to impress that panel. Interviews matter the most. CAT matters, obviously it matters because it fetches you the calls. But after you give your CAT, after you crack it, you realize that it was just the beginning. The main game or the main thing that you need to crack is now. That's the interviews. Interviews are very important and they are very less talked about because major of the candidates are focused on CAT only. CAT obviously plays a very big role, but interviews play, I think, double the role of CAT in your journey from your home to your dream preschool. So you need to prepare diligently for your interviews. You need to be thorough. You need to be confident. Confidence is the key. If you are stuck, like if they ask you a question, you say, sorry, sir, I do not know the answer to this. And they'll ask you another question. And you again say, I do not know the answer to this. There are two, I do not know answer to this. Then the interview is done. You'll be let out of the hall in about 10 minutes. And you know that you will not get selected. So it matters a lot how to answer a question that you don't know the answer to. That's something you need to prepare yourself for. And
Okay.
some people know it naturally. Some people have those skills naturally. But for the people who have difficulty in that, almost all the coachings offer courses in it. You should, on the day you get your CAT scorecard, you should apply for such courses and start your preparation from day one. They are very good courses where people get very good help from. I have my friends who went for such courses. They went to war like B Tribe, and your CL has a very good course in it. They give you personal mentors. Time also has such a course. So you should opt for that course because the amount of money you're giving in that course is nothing compared to what you'll be getting out of it.
Okay. And like you have talked about like composite score after your interview. And like there are two composite score. One is like when you crack CAT. So and you have also like told like the weightage after like interview of composite score. So could you like tell like if you have work experience And so what will be the weightage like of your academics CAT score and work X?
The composite score calculation varies from college to college. No two IIMs even have the same composite score calculation. Like some of the CAP IIMs have, but not. I'm talking about the Blackie and your SNM IIMs. So what happens there is all of the IIMs have the different criteria, which is why you hear that a candidate who has bad academics but has done very good in CAT is more likely to get admission into IIM Calcutta, because Calcutta gives more weightage to your CAT score than your past academics. While if your past academics are like not so good, then even if you get 100 percentile, not 100, if you get a 99.99 percentile in CAT, you won't be getting a call from A, because A gives good weightage to your past academics also. For Bangalore, a lot of it matters on your work experience. Work experience is given a very much weightage in Bangalore. So if you're a candidate without work experience, then you need to have a very solid profile and a very solid CAT score. Otherwise, Bangalore is not going to give you a call. So this is how it varies. It varies from college to college, and that's why we see people who are like very intelligent, but they're not able to get into A, because maybe like the CAT score was very good, their graduation is very good, their work ex is very good, but they didn't give they didn't have that required score in the class 10th examinations or class 12th examinations. That cannot be changed. So they miss that opportunity. But nevertheless, I believe there are about 5 to 6 B schools in our country which are at equal level. It's not like A is greater than B, is greater than C, is greater than that. That's not how it works. That's how it works in perception. Like that's how a general public perceives it. Because you ask any person walking on the road, they'll tell you, oh yeah, Ahmedabad is the best, then comes B. They don't know anything about it. If you ask a person who is into this field, who are into this world, who have gone through with all the process and everything, they will tell you that there are about 5 or 6 colleges in the country, not all IIMs also, and they all are at equal level with each other. And if you get in any one of those, your career line will be like similar to other people who are getting into any of these colleges.
Okay, amazing. Wow. What I was asking.
One should actually do a lot of research on this, I believe, because you know your profile, what your profile, you know your marks in 10, 12 and graduation, you know your work ex, you know if you have some category, you know if you have diversity and all that. So you should do a little research upon these colleges, like which colleges need what in different steps of shortlisting. For example, FMS is considered to be a college which is very difficult to get into. Not many people know it, but FMS, the shortlist criteria for FMS for interviews only takes your CAT score into account. It doesn't consider your 10th, 12th, or graduation or work ex into account for giving you calls. So if you have a good CAT score, you'll get into FMS. You get a call from FMS. Then afterwards, even for calculating your final composite score after the interviews, in FMS, only 10th and 12th scores are considered. Your graduation score is not considered. Your work ex is not considered. They are of no value in FMS. And for 10th or 12th also, if you have scored more than 75%, then you get full 5 marks. If you have scored below 75, you get 0 marks. So there are 5 marks each for 10th and 12th. So such are the criteria. For IIM Indore, 39% weightage in final selection is given to your 10th score, 10th marks. 39%. That's a huge percentage. So these are some things which I think a candidate should research upon before even thinking about applying for CAT or applying for IIMs. They should know which colleges they are targeting, which colleges they should target, and that's how they should start their preparation.
Okay, great. And like, could you tell some reasons like why candidate get rejected in interviews?
There are a lot of reasons. Like first of all, it's like the general elimination rule. Every IIM gives calls to n number of candidates when it has only very less number of seats. Like, and it increases as you go down the list. For IIM Ahmedabad, the ratio is about 1:4. Like if there's 1 seat, they'll give call to 4 candidates or 5 candidates for that. For Bangalore, it's slightly increased to 5 or 6. For Calcutta, it's around 7. For Lucknow, Kozhikode, and Indore, it's about 11 or 12. So like every 12 candidates are called, and only one is given a seat, because they know that many of our candidates which we are calling will get seats in the colleges which are above us. So they obviously gives out calls to more number of candidates. So that's how the conversion ratio is. So first of all, it's a competitive environment. You just don't need to be good. You need to be better than others, because that's how you are judged. Everyone is given a score, and if you have got scored better than the others, then you get selected. There's nothing like absolute scoring. Like if you get above 90, you will get selected. No, if other candidates are getting, all are getting 95, even if you get a 91, you won't get selected. It's as simple as that. So the as that's why I was saying luck is very important. Which panel you are getting, what candidates are going in that panel with you on that day. If they are like I should not say, but if like they're not so good in interviewing skills and all that, then you get a good chance because when all the interviews end after a shift, they give you marks and they put all those 5 6 people names, and then they obviously get a like they decide over it. They get to know that this candidate was better than all of the rest, so you get more marks than the rest of them. So obviously your candidature gets better. So a lot of it depends on luck, but luck only favors the bold. So what you need to do on your side is firstly get a good CAT score. Then for an interview, you need to be thoroughly prepared. You need to do some mock interviews. Call up your friends who are good in English. Ask them to take mock interviews. Ask them to frame any questions that they can from your profile. Ask them to cross question you in every way. Prepare answers for all situations. This process you need to go just once, and that works for all the interviews that you will be giving in that season. It's not that you have to prepare differently for every once you prepare your profile, once you prepare your answers, once you prepare what you are going to answer if a certain question is asked, then it's done. So you need to get through it. You need to be uh, you need to be very confident, and the confidence comes only by practice, as I said. So you need to have a lot of practice with your interviews. If you have done some mock interviews, you know how to handle, or if your people skills are good, you know how to sway a discussion from a topic that you don't know to a topic that you actually know something about. Then those things help in interview, of course. So if you don't have those skills, then do mock interviews. If you have those skills, then rely on yourself. Have that confidence when you walk into that room, because interviews are grilling. The interviewers will ask you questions, and if they ask a question, you know the answer, they'll quickly move on to the next question. They do not want to hear correct answers. They'll keep on changing the question till they land on a question that you don't know the answer to, and then they start grilling you on that. They're like, if they ask, keep asking with this, okay, you know this, then they'll come to a question that you don't know the answer to. Then they'll start asking 4 or 5 questions on that topic. Their objective is not to get the right answer out of you. Their objective is to see how you handle that situation where you don't know the answer to a specific question and you need to crack this interview. That's what the life of a manager is. That's how the life of a consulting manager is after 2 years of MBA. So that's what they're looking for. So prepare accordingly. That's all I want to say.
Okay, like take a case. Let's take a case. Like you have prepared for like interview. So like, what are the mistakes like candidate can do so that like they get rejections in interview?
Uh, if you don't know the answer to something, do not try to bluff. Do not bluff. Like if you don't know the answer to something, accept it. Tell them you don't know the answer. And if you can, what I was telling about, if you know something about that topic, which may not be the exact answer what they are wanting, but you know something around that, then substantiate your answer with that. You can say like, sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall this, but I have learned it some years back, and I know that this is how this is. So you can say no along with all this information, so that will make them understand like, okay, the candidate is serious, he knows things, he's just not able to recall. If you just go and say, okay sir, I do not know, or if they ask you like, tell me who is the prime minister of Japan, and you don't know the answer, and you go and say it's Amit Shah, which is a wrong answer. So don't do that, because if whenever they catch you giving a wrong answer with confidence, your interview ends at that point. They may ask 2 or 3 more questions, but your interview actually ended at that moment only. Never ever bluff. If you don't know the answer, accept it. Accept it and ask them to change the question, or tell them why you don't know the answer. Like for me, there were many times I didn't know answer to my academic questions related to civil engineering. They used to ask me about some structural designs or something, which I was not able to recall. So I used to substantiate no with other information like, sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall what type of a bridge it is, but if you want, I can make a calculated guess. And they're always like, okay, make sure. Now, because you have said that you're making a guess, so even if you land somewhere other than where you should, that won't be considered negative, because you're making a guess. You have asked them if you can make a guess. Make a guess. Like, I think it is a cantilever because this is like this. Try speaking. Like, don't just say it's cantilever. Say it's a cantilever because cantilever opens like this and all that. Do something. Say something. Keep the conversation alive. Don't just go and sit dumb. Like, I don't know the answer. Sorry, sir. Next question, sir. That kills the interview.
Okay, so Rajat sir, like till now we have covered almost every topic, like which is related to CAT and like interview preparation. Okay, so like at last, like would you like to give any suggestion to your like juniors who are preparing for upcoming like CAT exams?
Sure. Firstly, I would like to say that till the day of your CAT exam, only focus on getting a good CAT score. You should not look at your category. You should not look at your academic background or profile or anything. Your prime focus should be scoring above 99.5. Aim that, prepare for that, and go for that. 99.5 to score 99.5 percentile, the required score is not that much. For 99.5, I think what's needed is around 93 to 95 for according to this year's CAT. 90 marks in CAT means 30 marks in each section. 30 marks in each section means 10 right questions. If that 24 to 20 to 24 questions asked per section, you can easily, I think, attempt 10 questions which are right. Right now, you may not be at that point. You may be able to like attempt 4 or 5 correct questions, but there's a lot of time right now. We are just in the middle of June. Start giving mocks. Mocks are the most important way to prepare for CAT, be it any candidate. Nothing helps you more than giving a mock, and not just giving a mock, analyzing it later. Give a mock, then analyze your performance, where you lacked, which topics you lacked, what you couldn't attempt, what you attempted but got wrong, and then prepare for it for the next 2-3 days. Then come back again to give a mock. This regime of giving your mock and then analyzing them is single-handedly the most beneficial thing you can do for your CAT preparation. Nothing helps as much. And after your CAT is done, the day you give your CAT exams, start reading newspapers from that day. So that on the day of the interview, your first interview, which will most probably be in February, or if you're very unlucky, it'll be in the last of Jan, because they start from 22nd or 23rd of Jan. So you should have a grasp of the current events that have been happening in the past 3 months. Or if there's any major event, like for us, it was Russia-Ukraine war, which was happening for the past 1.5 years. So such events, obviously, you need to cover explicitly. You need to know the background. You need to know the latest developments. So start that preparation. Take up a newspaper, start reading it. And I would suggest, if you could, you should go to Telegram. You should look out for the Telegram channels of various UPSC coachings. There you will get all the coachings. They release a monthly digest of their current affairs. Like, there's a magazine which they release. It's about 20 to 30 pages. It covers all the happenings which have happened in the past month related to your current affairs and everything. Download the PDF. Look out for the topics that you need that concern you, like business, finance, geopolitics, and all. You can leave the topics like government schemes and the intrinsic details of that, because that's not going to be asked in any interview. So pick up the topics and make that your source. That's a very good source, because in those PDFs you get everything structured in a proper way, month wise. So go for that. Do that. Be a little resourceful. Try to find out the correct ways or correct right answers to everything. Do not just go as everyone is going. Bhed chal mein chal ke nahi milne wala. SCAT it's a competitive exam, so you need to be a little smart than others. So do things like these. Try to step out of the box, and prepare diligently for your interviews. Do not go to interviews thinking that Bhagwan ne CAT nikal diya hai, to Bhagwan interview bhi nikal dega. Nahi nikalega. Because candidates who are reaching those interview panels are best of the best candidates. Most of them are university toppers or the college toppers. They're people from various sectors, industries. They know a lot more than you. Almost every other person knows something more than you in his or her category. So you need to be prepared in your category. You need to be very thorough with whatever your background is. So do not take it lightly. The exam is easy, but it's not like something which you can do without any preparation and all that. You need to be diligent. You need to put in the hours.
Okay, Rajat sir. So we are now about to conclude the session, and it was a lovely conversation with you, and the insights we got from you is amazing. Okay, so like at last, I want to say thanks to you once again for coming to the session and sharing this much insights.
I would also like to thank you for giving me an opportunity or a platform where I could actually share my insights with the people who are preparing the exam. Because during my preparation, I had some people, 4 or 5 people, who were actively mentoring me out of their schedules. They were in B schools or they were in companies working after B schools, and they used to take out their time. So I know the importance of getting good guidance and all that in the preparation. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to actually get it out to your audience. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much again. Okay. And for our audience, if you like that kind of content, so you can subscribe and share. And also like you can suggest like what kind of podcast we should bring in future. Okay. So keep enjoying. Bye bye. Thanks everyone.